Great to have you here, the realestateexperts.com real estate show. I will talk a little bit about the market coming up. I want to pick up where we left off in the last segment, where the conversation was about how difficult everything has become in just managing our everyday lives. I hear this from home sellers all the time, whether they're going through medical events while we're selling their home, or a job transfer, or an insurance debacle. I've got a couple of those going on now because of some events. And it seems like everything around us and part and parcel to our lives has become overly complicated. Do you feel sometimes that when you go about your day, what used to seem like it would take a couple hours to knock out now consumes your entire freaking day? I think I hear a collective yes in the audience. There's a reason for this. Now, this is not political. This is not cliche. This is my analytical assessment of it. And it may sound obvious, some of it, but sometimes it's better to unpack it this way. Part of this problem is a direct product of the public education system. I'm 42 years old, and I believe that I was in the very last rung of the better side of public education, its history in America. I'm not saying it was great, but I'm saying somewhere in my age group, about half of us still got a good run at it, being in a country school in upper middle Tennessee outside of Nashville, not in the urban centers where they'd already ruined it by that point. But about half of my age group still is just completely indoctrinated into this cesspool of stupidity. Or lack of judgment and critical thinking. Because schools for the last several decades have basically taught very inquisitive kids and students who start out in kindergarten and first and second grade going, "Why, Daddy? Why, Mommy? Explain. I want to know why," to teaching them over the course of a dozen years that it is wrong to challenge authority. It is wrong to challenge conventional wisdom. It is wrong to ask a question, and you can't do math like 2 + 2 is 4. It's 2 + 1 + 1 is 4. You have to break down the two. You have to think like everybody else. You have to be a robot, right? That's what we talked about last segment. You get on the phone with a customer service representative. You're not talking to the voice on the phone. You're talking to the computer the voice is reading from, because businesses in America have realized that they, the smart people who got the good educations, or at least somehow didn't get hit by the dumb stick along the way, have determined that they can't trust the common employee anymore to make a good judgment call and deliver customer service. Some of them get in fights. Some of them do dumb things and harm the company. So they've homogenized everything, used a can of Lysol on it, disinfected it from thought. If you've not noticed, the real problem equates to when you go to a customer service or a financial services institution, which is everybody, the people that you first meet are people who are at entry-level positions who are basically doing things from a sheet. They're doing a process. And they can't make a decision anymore. It used to be you call a customer service rep. They can make a decision to make you happy. And part of this, too, is a product of our crookedness, our increasing crookedness and gray area behavior in America. A lot of the customer service reps use those opportunities to enrich themselves by stealing from the company in kind or in direct cash. And so businesses have clamped down to their own for their own benefit. The government has gotten more egregious. I pulled up to my apartment complex, or condo complex, I guess you'd call it. Now, just for the sake of argument, my wife is the board president. There's nothing big about that, except to know that of all people, I would know what the inner workings of the building and parking and all of that is, notwithstanding the fact I'm in real estate. And there's a funeral going on at the facility next door, for which we share a roundabout, and we own half the roundabout, our building does, and the facility next door owns the other half. And these motorcycle cops from Atlanta police decided, well, they would just pull up in front of our front door. This is where UPS, the U.S. Postal Service, residents of the building, Uber, Lyft, Instacart drop-offs. This is where they all go and cycle through this small little location that holds 3 cars or so as they come and go during the day to drop things off to the front desk of this high-rise. I pull up in my car. I've got to run in, grab something from the front desk at the main level, and run out. That's what this space is for. And I pull up in front of the motorcycle cops, which is a little bit of room there, and one of them comes over and goes, "You can't park there." I say, "Excuse me?" And he said, you can't park there. I said, says who? Says this sign right here. Says no parking. I said, well, you're parked there. Well, we're here managing an event. I said, did you get permission from the building here to park there? We get to park here. I said, but did you get permission? Give me your driver's license and registration. And I looked at him and said, I don't need to give you SH, officer. You're on my private property. I live here. I live in this building. You don't have any right to sit here, and I know that because if you had gotten permission to take up our spaces, I'd know it because my wife is the president of Homeowners Association. Not that that means anything, but you need to get out of my face because you don't have a right to tell me I can't park and run in like our residents here, all 280-something of them, do every day in and out. Get out of my way. I need your driver's license. I'm not giving it to you. You're out of your jurisdiction. So see, here's the thing. I happen to know what I could get away with there because I knew these guys. I knew it happened to be that the person that had died, God rest his soul, was just ironically, the daughter was in my daughter's class. And so I had given money to the memorial for this police officer who died of a heart attack because his daughter was friends with my daughter. Not close friends, but they're friendly with each other, know each other fairly well. And so I was well aware of what was going on. And I had pulled up quite annoyed that these egregious, self-righteous, better-than-thou, bureaucratic, regulated and enforced a-holes of the Atlanta Police Department decided to park their motorcycles all in our way, like they owned the freaking place. Okay. And I you know what? I said, there's a funeral. I'm not going to fight that battle. I'm just going to pull up, get my thing in the front desk, run back out. So I had to go drive through, park in a garage, come back down because I decided this was going to go downhill fast. And it really would have had the building concierge had not come outside. So what I did is I actually called the Atlanta Police Department and forced them to move them. I was so upset about this. But the point of this story isn't what I went through or my emotions or how I dealt with it. Some people listening will go, good for you, Crabtree. Some will go, bad for you. And it was in that moment. This was the third event I have had this year. The last one I described last segment where I described the police in South Carolina giving me a ticket for a suspended driver's license in South Carolina, which I had surrendered to Georgia to get a driver's license. It's just egregious, overwhelming incompetence of the government that leads to they're never held accountable, so they don't know how stupid they are, number one. And number two, they make all these mistakes and nobody ever calls them the carpet on it. And when you do, these police officers do what they do, which is take down your license plate because they're going to find something. That's what they told the front desk guy. They took down my license plate. They're going to find something on me. Yeah, bring it on. Bring it on. Right? So I'm sure after their sergeant called and says, why are you creating a ruckus? And I'm getting these phone calls from the building and such. Maybe, maybe not. But here's the point. Let me say one more thing before I make the point. I said to my wife that afternoon, I said, the next time Black Lives Matter comes out and has a rally and lays down in the middle of Peachtree, and I've been enraged by the criminal activity that represents, disrupting traffic and snarling up innocent people's day because they want to protest. You know what I'm going to do? Good for you. Bring it on. Because I've lost some of the, not conservative values I've had, but straight down the middle values because we're in a country that seems to be striving to become a third world country where the government is corrupt, the government is incompetent, the people who are the front lines of the government take advantage of the people, abuse the innocent folks, but you call them up and say, I've got a problem with a guy who's harassing me, or I've got some traffic issues, and, oh, we don't want to mess with that. We got bigger problems here. We're not doing shoplifting anymore. We're going to get to Atlanta crime in a minute. Next segment, actually, we'll get to this, and there's some real crime things going on that are just shocking. In certain parts of Atlanta, they're not even going after shoplifters anymore. What do you think that says where the malls and shopping facilities are where they don't have the manpower because they're too busy regulating you and me, the long arm of the government, to tell us what to do? So the point of all of this is to point out that as you do a financial deal, an insurance deal, your financial services transaction, I'm doing some stuff with Mass Mutual right now, and I just want to slap them. They're so awful. I mean, if you're ever thinking about going with life insurance with Mass Mutual, don't. God. It's just pathetic. Nobody can think anymore, and it's because of the public school education. It's because of the government making a mess and regulatory, and then you add all these people in every business. There's always one that's like the compliance person, and they're afraid of all of it. They don't push back like I described a moment ago. Nobody pushes back anymore, but very few of us. And because we don't, we're being beaten into submission. That's my point. We're being beaten as a culture into submission, and people are getting overwhelmed and we're getting angry. And here's the bigger point. Here's the housing point. The reason housing is struggling at some levels is because people like me and many other millions of people across the country have thought about maybe moving and selling the place they're in and buying another one, which creates huge economic throughput in the region. And I've said, yeah, screw it. I don't want to deal with a bank and a mortgage, regulatory, Dodd-Frank, TRID, government this, government regulatory that, document after document, dumb person after dumb person that doesn't think. I don't want to do a mortgage. So since I'm established where I'm at, I'll just stay where I'm at. I don't want to engage anymore. I don't want to buy anything. I don't want to own anything. I'll invest. I'll take the profits that I make and invest, but I don't want to do anything because it's not pleasurable to fight up a mountain just to own a pleasure product. Try to get a loan. Try to do a mortgage. So people are checking out of participating in the economy because they're frustrated with how difficult it has become to just be consumers because our government has put its tentacles in everything and there's so many stupid people reacting to the government. Neither one is right or wrong, except all of it's wrong. And that's why it's so difficult. Let's talk about Facebook in a minute. They have a big role in this. They're destroying our culture, and I'm going to tell you why. Plus, the destruction of Atlanta in terms of crime, the stuff that Atlanta police they're saying about their attempts to deal with the crime in our area and how pathetic it is. That coming up.